Hello, hello. How you doing? Hi, Lenny. Hi, Donald. Hi, Olabi. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. All right. So let me know if you hear me. If you could hear me, all good. Just leave a comment and I'll check it out. All right. So what are we doing today? Okay. First things first, and I gotta go set my clock. So we are at an hour. That's running. And do share the link, yo. Get more folks in here. I would. So let me put this in the comments. Hey Desmond, how you doing? Yeah, for another one. Yeah, so you all go, go retweet that tweet so more people get in here. Today I'm gonna do a, a couple of things that I'm interested in. We're gonna go through some new one use in the web dev ecosystem, and another one just like a little rant. So you stay tuned for that. But before that, though, um, if you're on Twitter, I did give some quizzes. First of all, let's check the agenda for today. Let me go. Just close that. Close this one down. Close this one down. This one down. And let's see what else. Okay, looks good. So let me share my screen. So this is what we'll be doing today. If so, I obviously moved my camera. Should have checked this for now. Let me also just check this one. Just fix that up. Good. Okay, so what we're doing today, we're going to, first of all, we're going to talk about the quiz. So we'll talk about Angular version 16. I just want to go through the release article and just talk about some of the things I'm interested in. And we're going to look at the sales current asset pipeline. And we're also going to talk about the little serverless versus monolith article by DHH. And also that was brought up by the Amazon Prime video team. So it's really interesting. We're gonna check that out. So first of all, let's get the quizzes out of the way. So so go to my bookmark or bookmark, and we're gonna start with let's see which one. What was the first one? Yeah, first one. So in case you didn't get it, I'm just gonna open both of them. So this was the first JavaScript quiz for the week I did. And this session is just to like answer the quizzes. And let me put that in the chat. Hey Batula, welcome. How you doing? Right. Okay, cool. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate you all. So yeah, that was the quiz. So right. So so the question was what will be printed on the console, right? And so we have available best framework with given this assigned the string of view. Then here we have a block scope going on here. And then I'm also logging it here. So the answer was what's going to be the output. Interesting. Okay, so let's run it. Let's run it. Okay. I think so. Base, not this one. So this was the this one. So what will be the output? Let's find out. No Twitter quiz. Oh, it blew up. So we have an error. All right. And if you're in the Salescast community, you might have already known what this is. So let me If you do JavaScript, you should definitely join the Salescast community. We have workshops every Wednesday. We had one yesterday, and we talked about hosting. So what's going on here is called TDZ, or temporal dead zone. So okay, yeah, I was just trying to. So this was the original one. So whether we use var or let, it doesn't matter. Okay, but I used var just to be a little bit tricky with the question. So what's happening here is best framework is going to be hosted. This one, because when JavaScript is trying to resolve a variable, like to find if the variable really exists, it starts from inside out, right? So we're going to start from here, and because best framework is hosted, right, and we try to use it before the line we declared it formally, this is going to be a temporal dead zone. That means best framework is going to be available but uninitialized, and hence we have this reference error. All right, so that's what's happening in here. So that's pretty simple, and I'm gonna answer the question. So just gonna quote it, and desktop Twitter quiz. So this is the answer. Oh, yeah. So this would not work for me. Give me a minute. Let me fix this. So because I use var, I really should also use var there. And let me just do the screenshot. Okay. Resize the window and take it. Okay. Copy it. And we can go back now and paste it here. Yeah, it's this. Thank you for playing. This code will result in a reference error because we are trying to access best Rex framework that was declared with let before it was formally declared. Formally declared. So I believe just gonna this do not disturb. For the point when it was formally declared, note, even though for is S framework will shadow let best framework with shadow for best framework. Let's see. So let's see if this rates well. This code results in a reference error because we're trying to access best framework that was declared with let before the point it was formally declared. This is known as temporal dead zone, or TDZ. Okay. And okay, since we have a lost code, Okay. So what you all think? So let's see. Let best framework overshadow verb best framework. So the first console of log best framework is referring to the best framework variable in the block scope. Scope since it will be hoisted but not initialized. Hence we get the reference error. Okay, so I guess that should do it for that explanation. So let's go to the other quiz. So this one, I think it's similar, but let's run it though. Let's check it out. Run function. So this is it, right? So for this one, we have a function get best framework. Then we call the function. Of course, this is valid because get best framework will be hoisted. And but the best framework in the definition is using best framework. This, right? So you would think that because this is where it was defined, that it's valid to do this, right? Because of course, but we called it before this. So what's going to happen? Let's find out. On function, yeah, we have an error. This is because even though the declaration is here, it happens before or it happens after this line, but we call it here, right? So that means best framework we're going to be in a temporal dead zone here. So this will give a TDZ error too. All right. So let's answer this. So seem a bit tricky. This is for my, you know, thank you for playing bits. It says the definition of get best framework function happens after the line we declared uh, the best framework variable. But since we call get best framework before the line, framework variable, we will have a TDZ. We have best framework in TDZ. So hence the reference error. And I could this should do it. Yeah, so again, even though we define the function after we declared best framework, but since we're calling the function before the declaration line, and since let variables are going to be hoisted but not initialized, we're going to have another reference error because that means we're using best framework at a place where it's still in its temporal dead zone. So that explains it. Since we call the get clone and everything. So yeah, that should be the work. Okay, so yeah, that should do it. I'll go back to Notion and we could mark this all as done. So let me see if there are any questions. Do you all have any questions of what we just did, the quizzes? I know it's basic JavaScript, but there's always gotchas, and if the mental model is not correct, you might find you can't really predict the state of your code when it runs because, of course, these little details might have slipped your mind. So hence, why would you all this? So we are moving onward to, yes, talking about Angular. And I could close this one, and this one, and this one are closed. So if you've noticed, Angular has been having a sort of revolution lately. It's a lot of chipping, a lot of amazing stuff. I'm really happy for the ecosystem. So yesterday they released Angular version 16 with a whole lot of cool stuff. We're just going to skim through it, right? And if you're using Angular, you could comment and I'll check it out and let's see what you think about Angular. So I could also give you this blog post. It's super long, 12 minutes read. But if you want to nerd out on those details, you could definitely check it out. So, so the let's so Angular have signals now, which is awesome. Yeah, and one thing I really like about the new Angular is the standalone components. I've been spoiled with Vue single file components, and it's really cool to see standalone components. They really read nice and much more compact. I like it. So the bits I care about more because I've been doing some research, and also where's that bit? Where's that called vitals? New servers are going frame. Yeah, the tooling bit, right? So this bit is really interesting for me because so over a year ago we announced that we were working on experimental support for ES build in the Angular CLI to make your builds faster. Today we're excited to share that in V16 our ES build based build system enters developer preview. Early tests showed over 72% improvement in code production build. That's amazing. And so the thing I'm interested in there, right? In ngserve, we are now using Vite for the development server, and ES build powers both your development and production builds. That's interesting. So if you know Vite is like the next level front-end tooling made by even a lot of meta frameworks and frameworks used it. But for this case, in Angular v16, they mentioned they're not really using Vite in entirety. They're using Vite for the development server, but the ES build is going to be powering both the development build and the production builds. So I really want to know why, though. I'm going to be discussing with some members of the Angular community to like what was the drawback, and I think they mentioned something about it. So we want to emphasize that Angular CLI relies on Vite exclusively as a development server, just a server, right? Nothing else. It doesn't do there's no bundling or whatever Vite comes with, all the other goodness of it using ESM and all that. It just needs it for development server. So to support selector matching, the Angular compiler needs to maintain a dependency graph between your components, which requires a different compilation model than Vite. Okay, so it feels Vite wasn't a good fit because of the architecture of ES build, of Angular rather. And that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, that's the bit I'm interested in because I've been experimenting with ES build and fit, and this really makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm going to research more on this, but I just wanted to share that out. Also, congratulations to the Angular team. A lot of amazing new features, signals, standalone components, and now using ES build for production development build, and of course Vite for the dev server. That's amazing stuff. I like it. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So today I want to be doing more. I want to dive into the sales asset pipeline. So similar to what we just saw with the Angular V16, where they're using Vite and ES build for the bundling, it's more of we call it like an asset pipeline because when you're building your JavaScript or you're working on your JavaScript, you're not going to ship it, especially the front end JavaScript, right? You won't ship it the way you're writing it. You need to minify it, you need to bundle it, you need to do a lot of stuff to it to make it lighter and ready to be shipped for the browser. So yeah, the tooling and everything. So we could call it or refer to them as the asset pipeline. So presently in sales, we use Grunt Task. If you don't know Grunt, Grunt Task Runner. So Grunt is a really it's a task runner, right? JavaScript task runner. So you give it a bunch of tasks and you could run stuff. Grunt is really, it's been a while in the making, but this is what sales currently uses for the bundling, the minifying, CSS, and all that stuff. So I just want to dive into it and just see, because the way sales, so sales want to be very extendable. So most of all the functionalities are being added to the framework using hooks. So we have a grunt hook. So right, so if you see this so it implements support for the built-in asset pipeline and task runner in sales. So we're going to check it out. So I've already cloned it down, but I'm gonna cd sales hook grunt, and I'm just gonna try to make sense of the code base. Okay. So yeah, we're 30 minutes mark. Any question, anybody? So you could always ask questions, and if I'm just gonna go back and just check the questions and answer as I go. Okay. So now this is it. We have leave grunt wrapper, sanitize grunt output, run default task, log grunt aborted error, help run task. Interesting. So let's see the test. So before, so these are some good tests. Let's put some global for convenience. Okay, interesting. I like the way we do it here, right? Okay, interesting. And sanity. Says hook. Okay. All right, good test. Very straight to the point. So let's see the code. Where should we put some polyfill? Let's see the growth. Okay. So what does this do? So this is like a hack to exec grunt without knowing exactly where it is. Interesting. So grunt CLI could be installed as a pair to sales hook grunt, so we don't know where its pin script might be, but if required, I can find it. We have this thin wrapper to be a script we can execute as a child process. Such that doing so will execute a grunt CLI wherever that CLI happens to be stored. That's interesting because require has a resolution algorithm, so it could check the multiple places. So This code is trying to make sure that, okay, we don't care where the grunt module is installed, whether it's a pair dependency or, put in the same package. We're just gonna require it like so, because require is gonna apply its resolution algorithm to check the various places it needs to check. So that makes sense. So let's see. So here we have, okay, path, just basic path, child process from child process. So what does the child process do? So says node. Okay. Yeah. Shuffle model provides the ability to spawn sub-processes in a manner that is similar but not identical to established primarily provided by the child process spawn. Okay, to spawn child processes, because node is a process, right? So we could spawn child process like that. Okay, that makes sense. So we have loader here, we have sanitized ground output. Okay, this is definitely a helper and showing a chunk the string, but let's just read it through before we dive into the helper. So this is the help run task function. So fork a cron child process that runs the specified task. Private utility function that powers sales hooks cron to one task. Okay, cool. So it takes in the sales instance, the sales app instance, the task name. This is a function optional. Fires when the grunt task has been started. Non-production is successful in production. Note that okay, a callback is provided or not. Also note that this callback is not precisely equivalent to the semantic of these two events for callback. Okay, cool. Examine the path to the root directory of the current running instances of sales call. Okay. Yeah, we're just resolving to get the roots of the current running instances of sales. If provided task is not a string, fill silently. Okay, interesting. But it should be replaced in a subsequent release with okay, this is like official to do. So if it's not a string, so we're just using this short circuit to just coerce this to a boolean. So of course, if it's not a string, here we are assigned. So if it's on the, I'm guessing here should be like no undefined or stuff. Then we'll give it an empty string. Interesting. Okay, fork contract process. Okay, so this creates a fork. Set our grunt wrapper. Oh, okay. So it takes the first argument. Okay, the file to the grunt wrapper file. Grunt wrapper.js. I think we just this one, right? Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And let me see what. Okay, so the module path. So okay, the module to run in. Okay, that makes sense. Which is the module path. Then everything else is a string. So here we give a command line argument. Okay, which is an array. A task name, which could be an empty string if it's not provided. So it's going to just fill silently. Then path to sales. Okay, so we're running this in a separate child processes, which makes sense. So we're actually going to, this command, you should run it in the terminal, but here we're doing it programmatically by making a child process and running this script in there. Okay. All right, so silent through standard IO pipe. Pass all current process argument to the child process except the debug related argument. Okay. Good. So we're slicing your filter some regex. So if it has debug or inspect, let's break, do some cool regex stuff. Cool. So initialize local variables which will be used to buffer the incoming output for our gun child process. Error message will end up holding the human readable error message, of course. My stack trace will end up with our best guess at a reasonable stack trace passed with the incoming child process output. Okay, here is just error handling, right? So this is this is an event emitter. So when it has data, we want to take the data, store the console output. So on data, so this is a stream, right? So we're going to append for the, if it's an error message. So we could clean out the stack trace, doing some sanitizing here, trimming, removing new line. Oh, okay, here we are replacing this. We don't want this bit outputted by grunt, so we just replace it with that. Let's see if you all have any messages. So handle fatal errors like missing grunt dependency, TC. Okay. As if it's a fatal error, this is what we want to do on. Wow, this is some good, massaging of, like, grepping for string and giving output. It's like this makes a lot of sense. So this is like a regex, but just match literally this. Then if we see that in the match, then we should so this is the sales logger, captain's log. So we just log in, font file could not be found, log one task will be run. Interesting. So in production, okay, log silly run task could not find a conf file. Queue after task started. Then we return. Otherwise, this is some other kind of fatal error. So log it as a grunt aborted. So log grunt aborted error, which is a helper we have in this book. So this is cool stuff. Else save console. The same thing we're doing some math, right? And of course we're doing this. I like this. Okay, M file. Grunt and M file error occurred. Error. Usually this means there are too many files open. Yeah, I like this detailed. Sales is really good for at this. The errors are very detailed. It gives you an idea of how to solve it, and even links to an issue. Brilliant. Okay, this is a lot of error handling going on. Good. Pass warning. One. Okay, so the child process on error. Sanitize going to zero, then the grunt output. That makes sense. So standard error dot on data. Okay. Okay, so this is so because the sales instance is also an event emitter, so you could have emit your own custom events. This is what we're doing. So when the child process exits, then we could say we emit a new event hook grunt error. So other piece of the code that, or even other hooks could also listen for this error and do stuff with it. This is awesome. Yeah, otherwise any grunt done. Whoever is interested will just get that. So yeah, some tracking, since they could be on. Okay. Yeah, this is some guardrails to make sure that we don't have long running tasks. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sales are child processes to push. Interesting. So we have a child processes array, and this just get pushed onto it on the sales app instance. Yeah, that's it for this file. Let's see. This. Oh wow, this a whole lot of error handling going on here. And like I said, I really love the details sales put into logging errors. So like when something goes wrong, you get to like be okay, this is what's wrong, this might be the problem, this is what the cause, then you also give you like hints on how to fix it. I love it. This is what that does. This is a whole lot of login to the this should definitely log to standard error output of the buffer. Mm. So run default task. So this should be the bit that run the tasks. So we have a global variable, determine the contacts to run, check to see if the user has specified a on task list for the current environment. Okay, that's some long reading. So the asset pipeline can also be environment specific by checking sales with config with environment from within the gun file itself or any task. This convenience feature exists to make it easier to drop in an environment specific task list without doing any manual config or imperative coding. Cool. So because we have environments, you could literally set custom environments to sales. So by default, you have production, staging, development, and test. So you could so this lets you drop in some custom task list for those environments, so you don't have to worry about that. Cool. So the computer app path, then it's gonna check the tax register. Okay. Also the environment name the JS. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So for development, production, you just append the JS to it. This will give you the path for environment specific task. So if exists, task list is gonna be the environment. Else if okay, yeah, prod. So I think it's not using production as the string name, it uses prod. So therefore, we need to make this check or else just the default. Yeah, help run. We're gonna run help run task, which is gonna spin up the chat process, which we've just literally just checked before now. And yeah. So before I continue, I'm gonna just go take a break. See you all in like 2 minutes. So just don't go anywhere. Ask questions. Then when I get back, we're gonna like continue. I just wrap up. We have 15 more minutes. Okay, thank you for not going anywhere. So we have no questions, and yeah, we. I think the code is really straightforward. We've literally read everything, and this is all on my to-do list for today. So probably, yeah. So I wanted to talk about the create sales, which is the CLI I wrote, which it doesn't use Webpack. Docs.sales cache. It uses um it doesn't use Grunt, it uses Webpack, right? Webpack 5, I think. Right. So it works. I use it for salescast.com and some other people use it as well. So yeah, so that's an option, right? Because I like this setup, the where you can scaffold a modern full stack sales project with using your front end could be written in Vue, React, or Svelte. It's really cool. I really like it. And it's powered by Inertia. So Inertia, if you don't know, it's like a router, but it just lets you, if you're using Laravel or maybe Sales, for example, or you want your front end to, like, you want to have an SPA without building two separate projects, one for your backend and one for your front end. You can have them all in one mix. Inertia makes that link really, really nice, and I love it. So I use an adapter for sales called Inertia Sales, which powers the scaffolding for the Create Sales CLI. Really good stuff. You could check it out. Leave a star if you like it. So I would paste it here. So yeah, so the another thing for the secret project I'm working on, I abandoned the project got shipwright. It's just like a proof of concept for something. Probably I'll be able to speak about it really soon, but I'm making good projects, good progress with it today, and because I had to abandon the former solution I was aiming for, this one seems to be working really good. Just some fine tuning and some edge cases, so I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, so since we don't have any question, now that we finished early today, we could call it. I'm really looking forward to doing some real hands-on open source like live coding. Once my circuit project becomes open, we're going to do a whole lot about that on stream, and yeah, it's definitely going to be fun. And quickly, I mean, let me bring this up. So okay, so I wanted to talk about this little bug I fixed today in Treble Express. So Treble Express is the SDK for Treble for Express. So it turned out that with the way I was sending a URL from Express to Treble, if you have nested URL with trying to separate your routing into different files, it won't catch it properly, which makes sense, right? So originally, but it's let me so no, that's not that one. I want to check the tags. So originally, if we dive into this bit of code, this bit here, what's the issue? Because in Express record URL, let's check request API Express. So if we check the URL, so this um, URL, okay. Oh, so this is original URL. So this one was what I'm supposed to use, right? Because rec.url will only give you the top slash. So it's going to append. So the logic I have here, it's going to append protocol, which should be HTTP or HTTPS, just kind of form the URL, then get the headers, which would also include the host, right? Then the rec.url, if you have nested URL, it would only capture the top URL. So if you have API slash maybe users slash maybe, something, it's just going to give you slash that. So the fix was to um, just using the original URL, fixed it. Yeah, this is it. This was what was needed intentionally. So that's it. So the issue was open, and this was what the user was saying. So pretty much when using the express router that use method, the JavaScript doesn't recognize prefixes, it recognizes only the route which was defined in router.post, right? Which makes sense because it was using the URL. So this will be ignored, this will be shown. Yeah, and it even went further to like suggest what was wrong, which was really spot on. And yeah, published a new package to fix it 1 hour ago. Yeah, the perks of doing open source. So yeah, so if you want the complete URL for like you need the complete URL for like endpoints, use rec.original URL for the express folks and not .url. You get beaten like I did. And yeah, so that's that. And we are wrapping up. So thank you everyone for joining. Please subscribe to the YouTube or follow on Twitch. And okay, let's see. We have some questions. Yes, Lenny. Shipwright is I've really gone through a lot with shipwright because of I was stubborn trying to like make the former solution work. But now I've seen the light I'm doing, so I'm going to present the POC. So for like to see if we're going to move forward with the project, but it should be fun once we can talk about it fully. You're going to be seeing me all hands on, and I'm still warming up to the stream, so not more live coding. And so we're going to be doing like Guppy live. Guppy is not open source, but I believe I could stream the code when I work on it because I really want Guppy to be out there as soon as possible. But all the Treble SDK I could stream working on it. So how do you create these SDKs for different frameworks to use Treble? So that's a good question, Lenny. So the thing is, how Trouble works, right? So in any framework, it's the backend framework, right? What we're trying to do is we're going to get the request and the response in some. So if you check, let's look at the Express one. So hopefully you could. Is it? Yeah. Hopefully this is readable. So Treble have a payload form. So I have this helper. I made this helper to like generate payload. It just, but at the end, what you're going to say your API key, your project ID, the SDK name, this is express the version so that we know the version if there's a problem. So the server, so all this needs to be sent, right? And you could see we are literally just picking from what the framework provides. So mostly the SDKs will be like a middleware, right, which will sit on top of your request response flow. And when you have a request, you're going to take both the request and the response you send back. Are going to send those to Treble in these forms, right? So we're going to take the IP, the URL, the user agent, the method, the headers. Of course, we're going to mask sensitive data based on what you've set, right? Then the body and all that stuff. So my job for the JavaScript SDKs is to understand how the framework works, right? To try to make an SDK that fits the framework. So we had like a catch-all SDK, but I wanted the user experience or the DX for the developer to feel something familiar. So I want to write the SDK in the same way you write like a package for your framework. So we did that for Strappy, which means Strappy Treble is now on the Strappy marketplace, which I'm very happy about. More news on that coming soon. So yeah, that's it. I just need to understand how do I intercept the request response of this framework, right? And then I write the SDK for it. So this is how you do it for Express, for sales. Sales uses Express under the hood, but I wanted it to feel very familiar. So I wrote like a custom SDK for sales, which feels familiar. So also give you like a config for you to do that. So yeah. So I prioritize user experience more than the convenience of just having one package. But that also means I have like several packages to maintain. But I pulled most of the common utilities, like you could see. We are importing a lot of method from treble/utils. So any common framework agnostic part of the SDKs will be in there. So this makes it easy to maintain because I could make a change here and every SDK that uses it will just grab it. And yeah, so that's how I do it, Lenny. I was supposed to add it to the broadcast so that you all could see the question I just answered. So yeah, so that's it for today, y'all. So thank you for joining. I really appreciate you all. And see you next week, Thursday. I don't know what we're gonna be doing then, but hopefully I might be able to talk about Shipwright then. Then would unveil Shipwright and do some other stuff. So thank you for coming. Do next when you're coming, let's bring a friend, of course. And yeah, see you on the next one. Bye.